On air. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this informal lunch and learn event by Large Scale Scrum community, global and local here in the United States. We have a rather an informal agenda today. It's a forum that will specifically talk about the very recently opened and rolled out to public the certified large-scale Scrum coaching program that is supported by ongoing mentorship by the existing large-scale Scrum experts the body of which consists of the existing certified less trainers and coaches. So we actually have other than myself, who is mostly going to be the host, Bastian Van Hammersveld, who is the CEO of the LeSS company, and James Carpenter, who is another large-scale Scrum trainer and coach based in the United States of America. And we have a few people that already joined, and probably will have a few more throughout the event. So, but it's going to be some of the content sharing so people can listen, play it back if they want to come back to this recording. So thank you for being here, all of you guys. So again, this is very informal, and people will be joining. Like I see someone else joining now. Bastian, how do you suggest we kick off? Like, do you want to give a bit of a history to this and
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
So I joined the LeSS community 2 years ago, and one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of people in the world are busy with less. Some take it for the full extent, others are taking bits and bobs from it. And a lot of them have been training themselves either through the books or through some training. And a select few also has the intention to become a trainer, to start teaching themselves as well. But in the middle, there was nothing really. So if you as a Scrum Master or coach or even executive, you're busy with some kind of transformation and you like to apply the principles and rules of LeSS, you're basically on your own. And for the most part, as mentioned earlier here, LeSS in itself is not that difficult. It's relatively easy to understand. There are not that much rules, there are not that many principles either. However, to apply it is something different. For that, it's good to have some experiences in the field already. And we probably made a lot of mistakes, which is great, because that's how we learn. So last year, I got some requests from people saying, can we do something where we will not become a trainer, because I'm not interested in that. But I like to have a learning journey, a growing path, where I will become a coach more equipped around the LeSS principles. And I thought, okay, why aren't we already having that in our portfolio? So that was the reason to start work on it. So initially, the thought was, okay, let's look at Scrum Masters and existing Agile coaches. Those are the initial people who probably benefit from it the most. But talking to a lot of people and companies, it appears that executives are also very interested in something like this, mostly for the reason that they also like to understand how to apply something like LeSS. Um, their daily job is usually something else, but if they're more engaged in it, then they can basically coach it themselves as well with the help of other coaches and Scrum Masters. So that's how it basically started. from there, it is, yeah, preparing everything. What does it take? What kind of level do we want to have? What is the interest? A lot of people have interest in learning and experiencing more. Others would like to use it to upgrade, um, let's say, how they are perceived from organizations because they have the ability to apply more. So it's a wild bunch of combinations, actually, what people look at why they would like to become a LeSS coach. Of course, in the first place, because they love the idea behind LeSS. So now here we are. It launched last week. We have a lot of mentors already available. Two of them are here in the call, Gene and James. And yeah, I think a good start would be taking some questions from people. Well, they might have already seen it. If not, I can explain a little bit more in detail. And there might be some individual questions saying, how does it work? How can I apply? What can or can I not do, etc.
Thank you for this, Bastian. So, folks, literally, we have so few of you. We're Cash, Nancy, Labata, and Kiran. Consider this as your like first, complimentary mentoring session. Well, this is really more of a Q&A. Just shoot from the hip. Oh, Ogden, good seeing you as well. I know you wanted to come. Just shoot from the
Hey,
hip,
morning.
ask questions. I would like Bastian to answer as much as he could, but James and I are here as well to chime in and
Yep.
give some flavor because we obviously we're deeply embedded in the industry and with the companies. So feel free to volunteer. Don't be shy. Ogden, I think you and I chatted in not too long ago. Actually,
Yeah,
Bastian, the person to whom the credit should go back to, he actually pulled a lot of it together. So he's the man. So
you said boss?
no, he is Bastian. He's the
Oh,
gentleman
Bastian.
right there in
Okay,
the glasses. Yeah,
the other boss. Hey,
Yeah, the
that's the
Bastian.
boss,
boss.
yes.
Stars the same three letters. Yeah.
Yeah,
So tell
awesome.
me, Ogden, what was your initial reaction when you heard the LeSS coach was something to be available?
I thought it was great because there's so much that needs to be like when I look at Les, I feel like, man, I love the principles behind it in general.
Mhm.
But it's to be able to successfully convince, probably the wrong word, any organization to even go like that, it's unlikely because you all know how organizations are. So they take the safe route.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, you know what I mean by the safe route too, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and so I thought it was great because I'm like, all right, how do I introduce some of this stuff? How do I get mentorship from folks that are, that have been doing this for a while, right? The trainers or the coaches, and in a way that isn't overwhelming, right? I do a lot of theoretical reading. I do a lot of, but to me, it's like, oh, I need some practicality because if I start trying to sell this stuff and I don't know what I'm doing 100%, I'm just get excited just by learning the theory, right? I'm going to screw it up even more. All right. So it's like,
Yep,
don't try to sell this to your organization type thing. I think Craig likes to say that a lot, right? He's like,
exactly.
Larman, don't try to even, but like, for those who take his course, but I think it's great. I think it's more support. I think it's awesome. I'm just curious about how it would work in practice. I think I saw something about the coaches. I forget there might be a cost to it. Is that true?
That is correct.
Yeah. And so just yeah, if you can kind of chat a little bit more about what that might look like, the cost.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So I think you have the right mentality, Ogden, in terms of the reason why you want to step into the journey of LeSS coach. It's all about experiences that you have at your current job or coaching gig, where a lot of the theoretical stuff can be found in the books and courses. At some point, you hit something which you haven't seen before in your previous engagements. And then it's good to have somebody close by to kind of say, okay, but you might want to try this, or have you thought about that experiment? And that's exactly the reason what it is for. We weighted quite heavily how much value versus mentor hours you would need, because mentoring in itself is quite expensive in general, but we wanted to keep it relatively low key. We will be looking at regional pricing as well, because some parts in the world, say US and EU pricing might be a bit too much. But on average, I think we set a very decent bar around the price of a regular course, actually. So it's relatively decent. You get 24 hours of mentoring per year, which translates to around 2 hours each month. And when I checked a lot of mentors and mentees, I think I talked to around 50 to 60. They all said the average that I actually use is around 1 to 2 hours per month anyway. And why is that then useful? Because you have so much information and excitement in those 1 or 2 hours, you need to apply it. And that takes time in an organization, as everybody knows. So you actually have a good cycle where every month you can try something out, you learn again, you try something, and you go back. And in between, you can chat or email with your mentor anyway. So I think the balance in terms of pricing is relatively good. I can share a bit on the screen.
Bastian, while you're doing this, if I may just add something, I knew you would be coming to this screen. This is just off the cuff idea. It would be great if companies started viewing the LeSS company as a place to go to get services. So just like today, I'm sure I don't want to be dropping any large consultancies names that have probably milked gazillions of dollars from any average company for very little value delivered. And I'm on the record to say this, right? Because I've seen this. Perhaps those companies should experiment with the LeSS company where they can get, this is probably a nominal fee to compare to what companies pay to the large consultancies, but the degree of service would be significantly higher and better. And by the way, we as mentors, I mean, obviously the LeSS company has its operational expenses, and rightfully so, most of this goes there. We just want to make things happen. So
Exactly.
some greater things to happen to us as mentors if we engage and help companies to implement this. But the company should really come to the LeSS company, not even to James, not even to me, to the LeSS company, and ask, help us.
Yeah,
Don't
so
go.
one of the things around that is the website less.works has been seen by a lot of people as kind of like a Wikipedia where you can also find courses, not unsimilar as Scrum Alliance or Scrum.org. And that might not be a bad thing after all, but it does mean that organizations not necessarily start looking at the less.works website. They're usually engaged at other websites where there's a reference of LeSS, and that's okay. But it's so one of the things that will happen, it's not mentioned on the website anyway, is that there will be a separate website coming next year which is purely dedicated to coaching, and that will be more like a commercial website where all the LeSS coaches will also be promoted and actively, like a marketplace, become available for anybody who is interested in that, both from company perspective who like to hire a LeSS coach, to any LeSS coach that is interested in finding something new. It will be a little bit broader because other people who are on LeSS.works will also be mentioned there if they enable it. So if for example, there's an engineer looking for a new job, and he's interested in finding a company that is doing LeSS, and because he likes to do it, he likes to be in an environment around in a LeSS environment, usually tend to be more happy because you're way more productive and you're quite close to the actual product and the customer, which as an employee gives you way more satisfaction. So it will become like a marketplace where companies who like to hire somebody for whatever reason can do so. And people who like to become more part of an environment that is less friendly, they can find each other. So that's something that will start to happen next year. So back to the question from Ogden, the pricing. So the pricing is in euros. Beginning next year, it will also be presented in other currencies, depending on where you're browsing from. But yeah, you have to consider that 2,900 euros is around $3,500. So it's not too bad. And this will get you 1 year of mentoring. We decided to make the mentoring mandatory because you get your certification immediately. And the reason why you get your certification immediately is because the mentor is there. So it means that the value for you as a LeSS coach is immediately higher because you're backed with a mentor. So if an organization says, hey, but you're a certified LeSS coach, but you just started a year ago, you can say, yeah, that's true, but I still have a mentor and I'm already a really good Scrum Master or a really good coach. So I have this mentoring purely for the LeSS part. And that gives a really strong message. It also means it's very practical. It's not a certification where you need to spend a huge amount of time before you reach it. There's a minimal set that you still need to do, obviously. We can go through that a little bit later as well.
Is that the prerequisites you're talking about? I think I read that, like the books that you need to read
Yeah, exactly.
and the courses you need to take, two separate courses, one of them with Boss, that type of thing, right?
Yeah,
Boss or Craig. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize this investment page was there. Sorry, I'd asked the question if it was already publicly available.
No worries. It's good. That's why we have this call
Yeah.
as well. For
The other
becoming a trainer, it is still free of charge because the bar for becoming a trainer is way higher. So therefore, the amount of people that will join that is super low. You need to think about 1 or 2 per year, so that's not that much. But for a LeSS coach, that's way broader. That will be many people. And that is not something that we can finance. I mean, the LeSS community is large, but the LeSS company behind it is still operating from, basically a reasonably low budget because we would like to invest everything that we have back into the community. And like Save, which is like a real money machine. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But at last we decided 14 years ago to do it a little bit different.
depends what your optimizing goal is, right?
Exactly. So it's the price is roughly the same as the courses are. And yeah, the key thing is that you have that mentor as your backing. You get the free course with Bas or Greg, which is
Will it
roughly
be reduced if I already did courses with them?
no, Now we
I'm
had
just
to make an
kidding.
exception. If you already did it, then unfortunately you will not get the free course again, because otherwise it would be too expensive.
Okay.
Then it's not economical to do. And it would also be too full. You need to understand the courses with Bas and Greg, they still need to deliver some value for themselves as well. And if we
Of course.
put them full with people who do it for free, then it will die out very soon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. It has to be. Totally get it.
Exactly. So
Yeah, for me,
the pricing is
right.
included everything. So there is an entry review that you need to do. You need to pay for that, but it will be subtracted from the total value. It's just to make it even for should people decide to leave after the entry review. I don't expect anybody to do it, but then it's at least covered. The less basics course is available for you then to teach in-house. That's
Is
usually a
that
good
going to be standardized, like a Scrum.org type standardized, or like a Scrum Alliance where everybody delivers their own version?
the latter. It will be your own
Okay.
version. Of course, there will be material available that you can build on too.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's on you. And initially, you're allowed to do a less basics and not a certified one. To do a certified one, you need to have your material reviewed. That's all. So
I
that at
think
least we have a check in
so.
between.
Levita seems to have a question. I think Kieran may have had a question earlier. So just a thought. We don't want to starve the rest.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So let's. Did that answer your question, Ogden?
It did. Thank you.
Awesome. So who's next? I see
Lavetta is
Lavetta.
raising her hand.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for putting this together. I've really been really curious about less and of course how it compares to safe. So I was just hoping that today we would have kind of got that bullet point, you know, for people that are kind of embedded in safe, which a lot of
Mhm.
people are. Why do we need to go to less? Like, what does less offer? And I just did a quick Google search and it says that less is more flexible. I mean, those are selling points for us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got to figure out what the differences is and understand the why we need this
Mhm.
certification versus safe. So that's number one. Number two that's on my mind is the fact that the whole agile community and the whole job industry, I don't know from your perspective, but here in the United States, it's really, really, it's really, really challenging. Tons of people losing their jobs. I mean, to the point where they can't even find a job. So I guess I'm wondering at some point, I guess I was expecting to see, yeah, this is your Cadillac version for people that have a lot of cash flow available. But for those that are maybe struggling, here's something that you can do. I guess I was just expecting a little more tiered level product approach
Yeah,
also.
good questions. So let me first elaborate on less versus safe. I would say the ultra short version of that is that with safe, the intent is very prescriptive. So everything that is guided by safe is your whole organization will be taken through a standardized script on high level, and everything is expected to be done in such and such way. And obviously, there will be little changes depending on the situation of the organization, but it's mostly prescriptive. So if you have a question in safe environment, then there will be an answer. There will be some cool white paper or some guide, whatever, that will tell you, you need to do this. And for some organizations, that is really helpful because there will be no questions and it might guide them into a structure that they never had. But most of them, after a few years, recognize that it doesn't really work for them. If you look at LeSS, it's the complete opposite. It has almost no structure. It's only based on a few rules and a few principles, and that's it. And that means that you, as an organization, as a Scrum Master or coach or executive, you need to experiment a lot. And that makes LeSS more difficult to implement because there's no fixed guideline what you need to do. The program and the website also, by the way, definitely helps you in that. It's not that you're completely blind, absolutely not. There is a structure in the end, but it's very high level, and it's expected from you to apply that how the organization works, because there are so many differences, culture, location where people are, what the company is actually doing, what the optimizing goal is of the company. There are so many variables, and LeSS is actually optimized itself to take nothing into account, only what matters.
Okay.
And that makes it, for a lot of organizations, not immediately interesting. And if you look at SAFe, the image that you usually get from SAFe, the visuals, it looks literally very safe to do. You say, I just hire a few more roles and I have some wrap around my organization and then I'm good. But what you do is you add complexity, you add more roles, more processes, where LeSS actually says, let's reduce the amount of roles, not necessarily the amount of people. They get different things to do, but the amount of roles reduces tremendously and the complexity is reduced. And that also means that the teams, which will become more like a product team, will consist out of more people from the organization to actually make the product. And therefore the teams become more authorized to do anything. So, and that whole concept makes it very interesting, but it's also a more difficult sell to C-level, because C-level often says, hey, I would like to have this problem solved. And then the layer below them say, oh yeah, we know this thing called LeSS that might help. But that's usually not a good approach to do. So the best successes in LeSS, LeSS is mentioned very late in the game, actually. They just start doing LeSS, but they don't mention it. And only after a few months in preparation, it appears, hey, we're actually doing LeSS, and then you have something good to sell. So some people actually say the best way to sell LeSS is to not talk about LeSS. And that's not entirely true.
Yeah. So thank you for this. Bastian, just in the interest of time, I wanted to make sure that at least one question is asked by each attendee. And in fact, I'm going to play devil's advocate also. I would like to ask some questions that maybe on people's minds, maybe not, but I would be selfishly interested in hearing your answer.
But let me then answer the second question from Lavette, because she had two questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. She had two questions. I didn't realize.
Yeah, so the one was difference between LeSS and SAFe. And the other one was, if I understood it correctly, more about is there not a more tiered way where you can kind of grow into it?
Yes.
And, I think the whole point where we actually launched LeSS Coach 4 is that we expect you to be a very good Scrum Master or coach already. And we mostly take your word for it. And then we together apply LeSS. So it's a different way of looking at it. So it means that you can immediately, based on what you do for work and where, you can apply it immediately.
Gotcha.
And that's the powerful thing. And the other question that you didn't ask, but it was hidden in your message. So what is happening in the US is also happening in Europe. not so much in Asia at the moment. But why would you then still go for something like LeSS Coach? And that it obviously doing a certified will not immediately get you a new job or a better job.
Right.
But what will give it will give you a better way of, let's say, becoming stronger in front of a person that wants to hire you. Because then you're able to speak a different language. Often hiring managers of some department, they have a vision. Oh, I need a scrum master, and then I would like to have these types of answers. But when you then say, hey, but yeah, I'm really good at team level, but I also know about how to look at it from a more organizational point of view, and I can help you there as well. That gives you as an individual a kind of plus plus against other people who are mostly busy with team level. So the fact that you're able to look in a broader view and know what to do with it, to apply it practically, that is very valuable. So in that respect, it will give you, let's say, a better value in what you can do, even though you haven't really done it before yet.
Thank you.
Thank you for this,
Welcome.
Lavina. Thank you for the questions. Kiran, I would love to hear something from you, if you would like to ask.
Yeah, my queries also same like elevator queries only. I got the answer from you people. Thank you for that.
All right, so no question. All right. Bastian, can I ask you something that, I mean, this isn't, it's not a staged question. It's just something that has been spinning around in my head. And this is, so I started having my own conversations with some folks that I know, my own network. And
Okay.
the way and this is also the way I talk about LeSS in general, is that I talk about it as the healthy organism that and lean adaptive organism that would be much more resilient to any type of industry turmoil. And today, one of the big challenges, one of the big unknowns is what AI is going to do to the workforce. So LeSS, I think it's very swiftly positioned and structured as an organizational design system it's already very lean and very adaptive. So it's almost like, it's not a dinosaur that's going to be taken out by the ice age. It's much more resilient to those cataclysmic events, right?
Yep.
So I think maybe I'm trying to validate my understanding. Becoming a LeSS coach for someone who maybe does not understand LeSS as well. What upper hand, what competitive advantage does it give to this person, in your view? I have my views. In your view, when he or she then faces back to either their company, the one that they work for, or maybe a client. Deep understanding and ability to coach LeSS, does it give a strong competitive advantage to the person who has this knowledge?
I would say yes. And the reason for it is that once you get into more of LeSS in general, and you have been coaching or you have been part of, let's say, the rising Agile or Scrum or anything in the last 20 years, you will recognize, I would say, 70%. But all those moments in your previous life, or this life, but your previous jobs, will be, yeah, I had the same, but I actually didn't push through it. But now I see I should have. So all those moments, that's actually what connects LeSS coach as becoming more a valuable person, because all the things need to be applied in the right moment and in a certain way. And you didn't know before how to, link everything together. So the moment I started to learn a lot about LeSS, I had exactly that same aha moment many times. I think, oh fuck yeah, 2014, we actually already did that, but we went to a different direction, which was stupid hindsight. But knowing less now, I think, we should have turned it the other way around. So I think what makes the LeSS coach part very valuable is that besides the theoretical knowledge that you will need to learn anyway before you can actually join, but that you will learn during, that will give you the best benefit. Because then if you're in front of somebody and he says, oh yeah, I'm hiring a Scrum Master, and I would like that person to only work on team level. It's really a silly thing for a manager to say that, but you would be amazed how many actually do that. And once you've seen more around LeSS, you think, shit, this person actually needs to take the whole organization into account and not just focus on the team. And ditto for why would you only use one product owner? So I think the key is the practical application, and for you as an individual to actually know how to apply it.
Thank you, Liz.
Gene, I
Yeah,
have some thoughts on this.
yeah.
I think.
Please go on because I had another one. But go ahead, James.
So if you have someone who's been, they've actively studied LeSS for a while, they may have gone to a few LeSS conferences, they've probably gone to some trainings, and they're in an environment where they know they want to try to put LeSS into place and descale the organization, but they are faced with the sales challenge of how to get enough executive buy-in to be able to do this. And this might actually even be an executive who has to convince his peers or her peers, right? And so as being a coach level 1, having that access to the mentor is more likely, improves their chances of being able to sell what they already want to happen, but and at least gives that on some more of a more formal thing. Although the truth is, as LeSS trainers, we often do some of this, informally anyway. But I think it helps make that sell. And then the second flavor of this is if someone is actively in a LeSS adoption, and Gene or I or another trainer may be actively engaged, there typically are 2 or 3 people who are, they're really drinking the Kool-Aid and they're really wanting to help make this happen. And we end up spending a good bit of time with these people and providing the kind of mentorship that is embedded in the program. But what they don't get from that is they don't get any kind of certification that, prior to this program that says, hey, you've actually been through a real adoption. You actually do know what you're doing, and you've had the opportunity to be alongside, good mentorship to have that done. Whereas a lot of people will say, oh, I did LeSS adoption, but if you look in the details, they never really did. So this provides kind of a certification of for work that they're already doing, for mentorship that we're already doing in the moment. And I think that's really compelling for that group as well. And then one would hope when it comes to marketability that, ideally this would help with the branding from a perspective of this is someone who really is credentialed and has competency, especially once they get that CLC too. But if Bastion's going to have this other site to market coaching, perhaps that will drive better clients, and perhaps it will be better for both sides, the buy and the sales side, in a way that otherwise you wouldn't be able to be on that platform. It wouldn't be vetted at the same level. So I think those are the key kind of advantages of this, and the audience to which this provides the most benefit.
Can I just say something, James? I'm sure, Boston. I'm not sure if you had I wanted to respond to this. I was gonna just add one little thing to James's point. It's like there's it's called something that's called the triple tax, city, government, and state. But I actually see this as a triple advantage, triple benefit. So if there's a way for a person to persuade his or her company to actually take this seriously, then a person gets the benefit of perhaps having a company pay for this. This person actually gets onto the bandwagon and goes to the journey of being coached and becoming a much more, influential and better recognized professional. So that's actually a double impact on the person. The second benefit, well, actually, let's just be fair. It's two benefits, but then for the company itself, the actual cost of it, it's breadcrumbs. It's nothing.
Oh yeah.
For an individual, yeah, it's a few thousand euros, but or dollars. For a company, it's almost nothing. It's like tax write-off, like you just blow smoke off your gun. But also with that, a company gets another advantage. If they want to, James's point, they can acquire a less mentor as someone who does support internally, just like any other consultant, any other employee. So they get the benefit of that too. And it amplifies some other greatness because if there's any training that to be done internally, that's a completely different cost basis because you have an internal person there. So that's a plus, plus, plus. That's just my thinking in this. If this is done right, even if it's a single person wants to pursue this, he or she needs to think, can I get my company's backing? That's just
That's a really good point, Gene, as well.
Yeah. Right.
And I've seen already some people asking questions around that topic, saying yes, I know we need to pay for it, but how can I, let's say, redirect that to my company purchasing order system? So people are thinking around already in that kind of style. So that's really good.
People actually don't realize that majority of companies by law are required. Well, it's either a law or a very strong regulation. They must have what's called education budget. X number of dollars, euros, shekels, whatever, people can spend annually on self-education. So this is, I think can easily qualify for that. And this is no manager will ever say no because this would be a huge red flag for a manager. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I don't want to invest in my employees' personal development, of course not. But for that, they'll get like a tenfold more value because they get mentored and the company can actually if they play their cards right, I think.
Indeed.
Especially
Bogdan,
for less level people.
did you have any other questions?
Yeah, anything else? Lavetta, Kiran, Ogden, anything else? Like any new answers like L1 versus LFC, CLC 1 versus 2, 6, 7.
That's pretty straightforward. Yeah, to me, it's always the right thing. It's optimizing for stuff, but it's more of an opinion than a question to all, right? It's more of like based on what Lavetta was saying before about, hey, the job market's not good, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think this is more to do with you just want the right answers, right? In terms of if you really want to help an organization. But it's just a lot more difficult for leadership to commit to, and for many reasons, if you had to go one way. I feel like we're at the forefront of this, where later on, especially with the age of AI, companies will have to operate this way, whether it's called less, whatever you want to call it. They will have to operate this way to be effective. It's just, I think we're at the forefront of this stuff. You know what I mean? These companies still have too much money right now, and they still can get away with it. At some point, they're not going to be able to get away with it as much anymore. And that maybe at that point, that's when demand will be really high. So kind of in my mind, right? Hopefully. But if you care more about just being at the forefront of thinking and really truly helping and being an expert in helping organizations, I feel like this is kind of the best way forward, right?
Yeah,
Versus
absolutely.
like, yeah,
I think one of the main points that you mentioned, and Gene as well, actually, is that if you want to improve yourself, make yourself different against other people who also have been laid off or finding difficulty in a new job, you need to invest in yourself and making yourself better than the others. And there are many ways of doing so. LeSS Coach is just one of them,
Yep.
depending
And there are
on the
very few
direction you want to
people.
go.
Oh, sorry, I would say one last thing is that there are very few people that have that kind of knowledge that can talk in plain language and can really,
Yep.
really be an asset. So even though the generic stuff that companies hire for, less might not be the best demand fit compared to safe, let's just say. At the highest levels, if you really want, like I would say, someone who understands the principles and the org design and all that stuff from LeSS, not necessarily the LeSS framework, just in general, and understands it deeply is going to be far more valuable. So this is kind of a long-term game for your personal brand and the value that you can add as a person. And you'll just know a lot more. You'll be able to help out with almost any problem. Right, but that's going to take a lot of time, and that's so long term at the highest levels. I feel like this is way more valuable, right?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Ogden. And
So,
Gene mentioned earlier about
mhm.
AI and should we worried about that? I think not really. And the reason why I say that is if you look at Amazon, they recently, I think, let go 30,000 people, which is an amazing amount of people. And a few weeks later, they had the biggest outage ever. So I think it's not a very difficult calculation to link the people that they laid off, which were replaced by AI, because they were very explicit about that. And then there's a huge downtime from their cloud environment. So we will see that more often. I actually advise coaches, scrum masters, consultants to actually learn more about AI. Use that in your story. It will open the door. The problems that organizations have not really changed. They have no clue what they're actually asking around AI. It's just a buzzword for now. But if you can get your foot in the door with the AI mechanism, you can apply any of the LeSS ideas, experiments, principles almost immediately in most of the cases. So
From
see
strategic,
AI as
very, yeah, you're right, 100%. I agree. So yeah, definitely AI is going to be like we can use that as a reason to get people like interested because of the buzzword. But then to me, that's almost like at the executive level they're going to realize anyway, oh, we can have a lot less people. They still won't know the power of people, right? But at least now they're more open to the conversation just because AI is thrown in there if you use it strategically. Like, hey, we can do a lot more with less, right? Not less framework, but sure, you know what I mean, right? A lot more with
yes,
less. Here's what AI is doing, right? So like, here's how it's going to affect the organization. But we can deliberately structure in a way that delivers a lot more value with AI and with the existing people you have, right? And I think that's what the org typologies might be trying to do. There's all this other stuff, right? But um, there's all these frameworks and there's org typologies, there's creating agile organizations,
yep,
there's this, there's the reason I even mention those others is because they adhere in some way to less principles, right? And they come from people who are less trainers in some way. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That we see that a lot.
All right, we got 4 minutes on the clock, folks. And this has actually turned out to be a pretty informative discussion. What do we want to say before we wrap this up? Boston, did you have any closing thoughts? Or did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I definitely have a closing thought. I think for anybody who is still, let's say, in doubt, should I do it or not? If you have not read book number 3, which practically shows you what to do with it, just do it. It's super cheap these days. Read it, and I think that will give you the answer whether you should become a LeSS coach or not.
Thank you for that. James, do you have a quick one just to wrap up? Because you know, what are your final thoughts saying?
I guess my final thoughts are if you're trying to actually drive an adoption and open up the doors to be able to do something, this would certainly help provide, if you will, sales mentorship on how to get that sold. And then once it starts, you're obviously going to learn from going through the process of doing an actual adoption and putting less in place. And it's I think that's the most compelling offering here, and I really think it would be useful for the executive level, um, because they're really the ones leading it.
Yeah, thank you for this. My last words would be this. And again, this is I'm not a great salesman, and this is definitely not a sales pitch, but it's my gut feeling that people that actually get a handle on this opportunity and get the get a head start, they may position themselves very uniquely, strategically in a very advantageous way, especially when the time comes to, when companies do look at their, who is around us, like, 1,000, 50,000 safe, badgers versus very few people that actually understand the true organizational dynamic, like the last coaches. Guess what? Are you increasing your chances of surviving or not? And of course, you now become a humble and very unique advisor to senior executives because you possess something that very few do. So that's if you think about it from a very selfish perspective, people that may wish to pursue this will put themselves in the longer run in a much better position to be more resilient and more competitive with others.
Yeah, definitely. One last question for me. It's related to I was put on the wait list when I first signed up, but for some reason I wasn't able to choose a mentor or schedule anything like that. Was there something that was supposed to come to me, or was that an offline discussion we can have? Yeah.
No, yeah, I think something went wrong then because you should have
Yeah, I was like one of the
received.
first ones who submitted something. I'm like, wow, there's already a wait list. There's that much demand.
Yeah. No, it's opened up, and the sign up works normally now. You should have received an email about that actually already last week, I think, because everybody on the waiting list was notified of that. I guess then also including you. But
Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah, but was I allowed? Was I supposed to choose a mentor? Because I didn't see anything with choosing anything like that.
yeah. So when you initially entered, the sign up was just for the waiting list,
Hmm.
and now you can truly sign up. Let me. So
If you want to spend a few minutes, I know like with me afterwards, that'd be awesome. But I know that like others probably need to go, right? Or
no,
if not, they can stay on
it's
if they want.
already it's already available. So in the chat of
Okay.
the Zoom, the second link
Okay.
is the one to actually sign up. It's also on the website at the bottom of most of the pages.
Oh,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Got it. Got it.
you
All right.
shouldn't
Awesome.
be entering the. I guess we came into your junk mail
Could be.
with the renewed one, but you're good to go and select
Awesome.
the mentors.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Or if you already know a mentor that you would like to work with, then the mentor can also sign you up. The process is then partially skipped. And
Yeah.
then then
Yeah.
it's
Is the list from the list of mentors that are already on the website?
yeah, also.
You can always take a look at that
Yeah.
list. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Everyone who has a heartbeat to them. They
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
Glad to
folks. For
know.
the benefit,
Yeah.
in the benefit of time, also Bastian is in the, in a different time zone from us.
Exactly.
So we need to be mindful. Thank you for joining, by the way.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Let's James, to you too, and Lavetta and Kiran, thank you for you joining as well. Like I expected this to be a smallish session, but hopefully this recording could be used also, and you can replay it if you would like. Like Bastian mentioned, you can and should explore options with mentors, and just even before you start picking names, just read the site. Understand what's on it. The content on the website is actually very user-friendly, very user-centric. And based on that, then you can make your next step and next choice. And we are here to help or explain at least. So thank you for coming out, everyone.
Thank you.
Boston, James, and everyone
Thank you.
else. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
We're going to wrap this up, right?
Thanks all.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Likewise. Happy
Bye.
holidays.
Bye.
Bye-bye.